Hi everyone, this is Jim, and welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 82, where I played e4 and my opponent selected the Sicilian defense, and we went into the classical variation. So it's all normal moves right up until knight c6. If you see, this is much less popular than knight f6. The idea of knight f6 is to attack the e-pawn and force white to defend it. After knight c6, I have the option here of playing c4 and setting up a Moraxi bind. The way I played it, I actually didn't even notice the move order subtlety during the game. I just played knight c3 automatically, which is it's just a way of getting back into the main line. So he plays knight f6, and it's all the same as if we had played this normally. So this is the classical variation of the Sicilian defense. And the most common move here is bishop g5, putting pressure on this knight, and also indirectly weakening the d6 pawn. The idea with this move is that often black will move this pawn to e6 or e5 and place his bishop on e7 in order to break that pin. And then after he's done that, you can take the knight, and if he retakes with the bishop, sometimes the d6 pawn will drop because the bishop has been pulled away from the defense of that pawn. So for example, if there's a knight on b5 or on f5 attacking that, along with the queen and the rook. So that's probably the most aggressive way to play it, and the interesting line. The other line, very common here, is bishop c4, the Fischer-Sozin attack, also provoking the move e6, this time to kind of clog up the bishop on that diagonal. And then bishop e2 is sort of the positional approach to this. But what I played, f3, is just going into an English attack setup, which can be played against many different flavors of the Sicilian. And here, actually, I just wanted to point this out. The chess engine doesn't really approve of f3. It likes bishop b5, h3, bishop e2. Yeah, I'm not sure why h3 is scoring so highly. I guess trying to keep the bishop or the knight out of this square on g4. But anyway, so after f3, it looks like the computer thinks it's an even game, and you'll see why in a minute. He kicks the knight, and in a case like this where he hasn't played a6, you do have the possibility of moving the knight to b5, but then he can play a6, and you're not really threatening d6 because that's well defended here, so the knight just has to retreat. So really your best move is just to go straight back to b3 here. And then bishop e6 is not the most common move. Bishop b7 is the most common, but this has its points. And I play bishop e3. Maybe knight d5 is the way to play it. Yeah, the engine prefers either one. But the thing is that black can push ahead with d5 now. I haven't really stopped him from playing d5, and he probably should. He goes in and plays bishop e7, the most common move. And now the computer once again suggests knight d5 to stop him from pushing the pawn. I play here, and now he thinks d5 is even a stronger move. Thinks d5 can be played with some advantage to black. So anyway, if you're playing these kind of setups as black, that's what you should look out for. Look for those opportunities to push d5 and bust this position open so you don't get stuck with this permanently backwards d-pawn. Okay, so that was it for the opening book. So let's go back and look at the notation tab. And we just continued on. And so after, if he had played d5, he might have gotten some advantage. After h6, I can castle queenside, and I do. And now d5 is ruled out, and it's back to having some advantage to white. And white keeps this advantage. I'm not always making the best moves, but I'm making okay moves, and black is making okay moves too. So no big things are going on. Oh, this is what I wanted to look at, and the reason I'm keeping the chess engine on here, it tells me I can play h4. So I thought about this during the game, and I did not think I could play that move h4 because of bishop takes. So once again, bishop takes is a mistake because of g5. Bishop takes g5. Oh, there's a pin on the rook. The rook is not defended in the corner. Okay, so that loses a piece, basically. If he takes there, I can take with check, and then I can recapture the bishop. Pretty interesting. So backing up, once again, I could have played h4 there, and his best move is not to take. I'm always missing little nuances like that. Okay, rook g1. So still he plays g5 and I go bishop c4. So engine's approving of these moves at least. And I've got some significant advantage here. But here, and if you want to play guess the move games, you're going to just have to cover up the right side of the screen. There is some neat tactics coming up. This one is pretty straightforward. I'm not sure why I didn't notice this during the game. I mean, the whole idea of this setup is to put pressure on that backwards d pawn. So I could have played knight takes e7, queen takes, bishop takes, and either queen or pawn takes, doesn't matter, and then I can grab on d6 here. So that's winning the pawn. So in this position, he's attacking my bishop, but if I take his bishop, he needs to retake. If he takes my bishop, I'll take his rook, and I'll just be up material. So looking at that again, it's knight takes e7. If he plays rook takes c4 or b takes, if he plays b takes c4, then I have knight takes c8. Yeah. If he plays rook takes c4, then I have b takes c4, and then queen takes e7. Yeah. So I'm just winning the exchange. If he doesn't take, and if he does take, then I'm winning a pawn. So I missed that and played bishop e2. I should have spotted that one. That was my bad. Rook c6, and now here knight b4. He thinks knight b4 is an interesting idea. So I thought on knight b4. I did think about knight b4 during the game. I thought he could just go back to c8. And then, he's hanging the a6 pawn. It was a fork. Yeah, okay. So I just was not too sharp this game. So knight to b4 forks the rook on c8 and the pawn on a8. And of course he can't stay on this row to protect it because the bishop is guarding the b6 square. Although the engine gives queen b6, rook at b6. Sorry. Why not bishop takes? Yeah, bishop takes is a reasonable move. But it likes queen c3 first. Queen to the c file is even stronger than bishop takes b6. Why is that? So let's say queen c3. I guess the knight's not, the rook. The rook is not going anywhere. And you do own the c file after this move. What can white play? Knight b8, rook b7, rook b8, king f8. These are all very strange moves. What if he just what does knight b8 do anyway? Maybe he's trying to guard this square. So if he did something like castles, yeah, knight c6, coming in, hitting the queen and the bishop, and giving up the exchange if the queen moves. You can just start taking material. Okay, and that wasn't even the most effective way of taking material. So, so rook b6, even though the computer recommends it as the best defense, it seems like it's not doing so well. So knight b4 here, which is a move I thought about, but I didn't see all the ramifications of. That would have been the way to play it. So I play h4 here, and I still have an edge after all of this. I guess my position was pretty resilient here. Right here, yeah. Yeah, here's another tactic. So cover up the right side of the screen if you want to guess the tactic. I talked about this idea during the game. I just didn't realize I could have played it here at this point. So it starts out with knight takes e7 again. Queen takes. Then bishop takes on g5 because the pawn is pinned. And so if the queen takes, then he loses the queen or the rook. one or the other. And so rook, bishop, rook, rook, bishop, knight. Yeah, you win the exchange if you play it that way. So, yeah, that's a way to take advantage of this pin here. And the key move is knight takes e7, because as it stands right now, and the reason I missed it is I saw he had 2 pieces on that, and I'm only attacking with 2 pieces. I realized there was a pin. At some point I realized there was a pin, maybe not this move. But I missed that I can trade and then win that pawn. And if he tries to take it, then I can win at least the exchange. So rook h2 I played. I even forget, did I really play rook h2? What is that move about? Oh, because I was doubling on the h-file, that's right. I was just going to put more pressure over here, but that gives him time to bring his king over. So I double on the h-file, and, well, I still have an advantage. Bishop takes d5, e takes, opens up another diagonal here. And he plays rook to c8. And now I have an interesting opportunity here, which I think I tried to calculate this and I didn't see how it worked. But rook takes h6 check is an idea here. He takes back. Then you throw in, it's these intermediate moves that make all the difference. You throw in bishop d3 check. He can't block the check and he needs to stay in touch with the rook. So king to g7. It says king f7 giving the rook up is the best move. But then I'm penetrating and I've won a pawn and I'm just up in material. So what's wrong with king f7 is a real question. Rook takes, king takes, and then queen h2 check. That's the idea. So that's a pretty neat tactic if you look at this. So going back to just before rook takes h6, what you see is, so I'm going to sack a rook here basically, but then I'm going to throw in this check, and this check does 2 things. It chases his king back, but it also clears this rank, the second rank. It clears the second row for the queen to come over. So if we play through this again, rook takes, check, king back, take, king takes, and then queen over with check. So now I'm down a rook, but I have a mating attack. So that's what you have to calculate. You have to visualize this position in your head and say, is this worth sacrificing a rook? And it turns out this is a mate in 4, it says. So king g7. It's the only move. Queen h7 check. And then king f6 is a mate in 1 with queen g6 mate. So king f8, the only other move. And now bishop to g6. Threatening mate here. And he can throw in a rook c1 check, but it doesn't matter. There's just no way to get over here and stop the mate threats. So there's 2 mate threats. There's queen here, queen to h8 is mate, and queen to f7 is mate. So for example, if he tries to guard that square with the queen, you can still mate him this way. It's better than just taking the queen. So, so that would have been pretty cool to find that during the game. That's a little bit deep for me. Maybe in a slow game I could find something like that. But that's a good tactic to put into your memory banks. You're sacrificing a pawn. You're throwing in a check so your queen can get over here. You're sacrificing a rook. You're throwing in a check. And then you're trading that rook so that your queen can come over to the h-file with check. And then with the 2 bishops and the queen, you have a mating net that the king can't escape. And notice that black's pieces are huddled up over here away from his king. I mean, that's part of the reason why this works. So keep your eye out for things like this. And if you have the time in a slow game, be patient and calculate it out. In a fast game, you just have to play it on instinct when it gets that complicated. Queen d3 check, still a good move. Still keeps an advantage, but not as precise as the winning move. And now I'm doing okay here, maneuvering my bishop around to threaten to come into these squares, keeping his pieces tied up, and trying to get my pieces to better squares. And here, yeah, it did not approve of queen h2. I guess it thinks I should stay over here. Bishop f5. Okay, just maneuvering my pieces into better positions. Continuing this slow build-up. what would happen after bishop f5? Bishop f5, let's take a look at this. Rook a8, that makes no sense. Rook b8, queen g8. I think that's what's difficult about this position is it's hard for white to find moves. How about queen to e8 here, protecting the knight and guarding some key squares? Then bishop takes. Oh, the rook is under attack. That's why. That's why he's moving the rook. Sorry about that. Bishop f5. Okay, let's say he wants to save material. Maybe rook here. Maybe he can add a second rank defense. And then bishop takes, g6, king takes, and bishop to b6. Oh, skewering those guys. Okay, so that was not a good square for the rook. Okay, rook, I give up. Rook b8. Bishop takes g6, king takes g6, queen c2 check. Yeah, so chase the rook off of that file. Huh. That's very interesting. So king back to g7. And now queen to h2. Okay, then the queen comes over, tripling. Ah, yeah, so I had this idea of tripling, and he can't defend this pawn. There's no way. Bishop f6. Yeah, his pieces are just away from this pawn over here, and he's got 2 defenders, and I've got 3 attackers, so he's just losing that. Pretty interesting. So then my attack crashes through. So that's the way to play it. So it's creeping in with bishop f5 with a tempo, because the rook has to move, trading off on g6, checking the king away, and then tripling on the h-file. Not too hard to see. So, but I didn't think of that first move, that bishop f5 move. So I played queen h2, tripling right away. That allows him to get in this move knight h4, and then I move back to e2, defending this pawn and maybe threatening to stack the exchange. He plays bishop f6, and I thought, well, queen d2 first, and then I can sack the exchange here and bring my queen in with check. But you see, I've given up a lot of my advantage, so it thinks that white only has some advantage here, not the winning advantage that I had before. So let's see how this might have played out. Suppose he plays queen c7. It's a logical move, counterattacking. And let's say I do sack the exchange here. Queen takes c2 check. Oh, that totally gets rid of all my attacking chances. Rook takes c2, king takes c2, g takes h4. And now we're into a pretty much an even game. So that would have been a way for black to draw at this queen c2 idea, queen c7 idea. So after queen c7, what should I try? Rook f1? Yeah, just maneuvering around. Okay, so if my opponent, if he hadn't run out on time and he'd found this move queen c7, he probably could have drawn this game. I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I'm sacking the exchange, and he's sacking the exchange back by taking on c2. And so it leaves us with even material, but it also removes all the removes a lot of the force from the board and leaves us in a drawn endgame. Okay, so instead of queen d3, yeah, there's probably better moves here. Bishop e4 again, maybe even bishop f4. Bishop f4. Oh no, bishop f4 is not so good because the knight is guarding that square. So maybe bishop e4 here to try and keep some advantage and not allow him to trade everything off. And if I had seen that, yeah, I would have been leery of that possibility too. Okay, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for this video. As I said earlier, I'm going to be away from my computer for 4 or 5 days, so this is the last upload you will see for a while. But this is a bonus upload. It's the second one second game I'm uploaded today. So take your time to review these games during the week. Hope you guys enjoy them. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you when I get back. Bye.